Hey there, thanks for tuning in for the top 7 rock cuts of the week. Here's a look at the rocks that we'll be checking out. We've got a lot of really cool ones, as you can see. A nice variety of colors and patterns and types of rocks. Welcome back to the current subscribers. Please give the video a like and let me know your favorites down in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, welcome, and I hope you like this video also. All of the rocks were found in northern Nevada, except for our guest rock, which is a lightning stone, which is from Lake Michigan and comes courtesy of a subscriber, so thank you there. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So first up, let's check out this rock. So from the outside, you can see we've got a lot of lighter colors going on, and it looks like it's going to be a brecciated material. Not quite as much from this side, but from what we were just looking at, we can see that it looks like the rock has been split apart and broken up into different sections and then healed back together with black veins on some part and red on other parts. But let's go ahead and take a look at the inside of that, and that is gorgeous. So the black veins, it looks like maybe only black veins, carry through to the inside. There's actually some lighter colored ones also, but just gorgeous. There's a really beautiful light blue, a pale blue color that some of the fragments are. And then a lot of them are yellow as well. And then they're divided by mostly black veins, but as you can see towards the top, some of them do have a little red. They're almost blue down towards the bottom of the rock where it looks like that black color or maybe deep red didn't get in. But there's actually a bit of pattern going on in the blue and in the orange as well. This one is just stunning with the colors, just beautiful, and a porcelain quality stone. We'll take one more zoom in here at this half. Really nice, and you can see there's actually some darker colors too towards the top left. All right, and all the way from the shores of Lake Michigan, we've got rock number 2, and we've got some really cool lightning that you can see. That's the white calcite veins that we can see on the outside. The rest of the rock looks like it's a dark brown to rusty red or rusty brown in some spots. Really kind of interesting, but the lightning looked good. You want to cut through it. That's supposed to give you the best view of the lightning inside the rock. So let's go ahead and take a look at the inside. Look at that. Oh, wow. Okay, this is gorgeous. This has so much going on it. So we have a really nice black kind of core or circle at the bottom of the rock. And then the color is much lighter, but it ranges with reds and browns in there. And then we have really nice fat and thinner lightning, big calcite veins, and some really cool terminations in the black there and smaller lines throughout. And we can even see that there are some pieces of rock that are in the calcite veins, which is really cool. This is the second lightning stone that I've cut, and the interior of this one is quite a bit different than the other one, even though they both have the lightning. Just gorgeous. I love these. Next up, we've got a really cool rock. So from the outside, we can see that it looks like crystal that is dark in color, bluish, and there's some iron staining on what looks like the crust on the top of the crystal. If you watched the last rock hounding video from last week, here's a little clip of it. This is one of the rocks that I found while I was searching this area roadside in northern Nevada for agates. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this one turned out on the inside. And that is really pretty. Wow, and really unique. So we have a couple of different areas going on, and the material ranges from completely transparent to a little bit cloudier with swirls and inclusions in the center. And let's take a closer look at the individual halves. There's also scattered golden inclusions, which is just really nice. And there's some finer structure in the white, some brecciation or little pieces of smaller individual crystals that we can see in here. Really, really interesting and really gorgeous. Very chaotic, but that makes for an interesting presentation for sure. Really cool one. Wild to think that this was just sitting on the side of the road. Of course, the rocks don't know where they are, and the road is very, very recent compared to the rock. Okay, next up, let's check out this rock. So from the outside, we've got light coloration going on, tans and browns mostly. We can see some of that looks like it's a desert patina, especially on the top. And then, bam, we get to this side and look at that banding. Gorgeous. It looks like what I would call a Jupiter rock just because of the way the bands look. And we can see there's some freshly broken material towards the bottom there, and it looks pink and it looks nice. So let's go ahead and take a look at the inside, and that is gorgeous. Wow. Look at that banding and that eye in the center there. Really pretty. I would call this a landscape jasper, except this isn't really a terrestrial looking landscape. It still looks like Jupiter to me. Really pretty banding. We've got some deep purples down at the bottom of the rock, or the right hand side as we're looking at it here. There's an interesting inclusion on the left hand side here as well. The right hand side as we're looking at it here. A cool eye with some more of those kind of feathered or dendrite looking inclusions in the bands, but a really pretty and a really unique one. All right, let's check out this rock. So this is an interesting one from the outside because we've got some vibrant colors. We've got a deep purple and orange, which is really kind of a reddish tan, but we can also see some banding, and it is a little more apparent on this side, especially in the lighter area towards the bottom, and really interesting how the purple comes in there at the top. The orange portion there at the top is also interesting. It looks kind of like a slightly different texture. But let's go ahead and take a look at the inside, and that is really cool. Wow. So the purple comes through really nicely. We can see there's some banding going on, or some veins going on in that part of the material. And then we have really strong horizontal banding going on in the yellow part of the rock, and white actually. And we can see that it's actually a bit brecciated down towards the bottom. We can get a better look when we zoom in there. And it's hard to tell if this is petrified wood or if that's rhyolite banding that's going on in the center. The veins in the purple part certainly are interesting. It almost looks like a petrified wood with maybe a bark, but I'm not totally sure. Okay, and here's another interesting one. So from the outside, this one looks a lot like petrified wood, right? It's got banding, and it looks just kind of like a chunk of wood that has now turned into stone, and maybe had some other stuff going on there. That's kind of what it looks like from the exterior. Not a lot of color that is showing through. A lot of fine banding, but that's enough about the exterior. Let's check it out on the inside, and that is pretty neat. So there is a lot of color going on that we could not see on the outside, and there is a lot of banding as well. The colors that we've got are pink and red in the center, along with white, a grayscale at the very top, and then yellow in various shades and tan around the perimeter. And there's a little eye in the whitish pink area towards the center, which is pretty interesting. I think this is probably petrified wood. I'm not totally sure on the color of the interior. I think that must have happened during the replacement process, but I'm glad it happened because it's pretty unique and pretty cool. All right, last but certainly not least, let's check out this rock. So from the outside, we've got a dark red coloration that's going on, super deep. On this side, we can see there's some lighter color and what looks like some pattern and some red veins on white on top, which is interesting. On this side, it looks like it's almost rusted on the left-hand side there. Really cool. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first cut, and that is really cool. So this is a mix between what I would call a Lahontan jasper with some Wonderstone banding going on as well. The Lahontan Jasper part is the white or lighter colored part with the golden dendrites and a little bit of red as well. And the Wonderstone portion is the thicker banded part of red and gold that we can see around some of those voids and cavities. Really cool. I went ahead and gave this one a second cut a little bit closer to the top because I wanted to see if that pattern came through, and it does. Really, really pretty. A little bit more solid towards the top here, and a really nice piece of Lahontan Jasper. The golds around the veins is just really pretty. Oftentimes it's just a deep red, which we have here also, which is nice, but having the gold is an extra pretty bonus, at least in my opinion. I'm a big fan of the material though. And that is it for this week, and here's a preview of the rocks that we're going to check out next week. And just a heads up, they are all amazing. So that's one that you're going to want to watch start to finish. Thanks again to all the current subscribers. Please give the video a like and let me know what you thought down in the comments. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, I am not sure what you're waiting for. So go ahead and hit subscribe, and I will see you all next week.